Today on C103.
Prominent East Cork County Councillor Liam Quaid last Friday announced his decision to leave the Green Party with immediate effect. To discuss his reasons why, the now independent councillor Liam Quaid joins me. Good morning to you, Liam.
Good morning, Patricia.
And you're welcome to the programme. Now, I think many people will not be surprised to hear part of your decision to do this is to do with the proposed closure of Ona Cara, the mental health facility that I've spoken with you on many occasions, and you've been a strong advocate for the retention of this particular mental health facility. But did you feel that the Green Party had let you down on this one?
Well, I feel the government in general has let the residents and the families down, and I've been very deeply involved in this campaign now for nearly 2 years. We've managed to have 6 Oireachtas committee meetings on the closure, and there's actually one on the way in the coming weeks. And I think we've really shown through those committees, which are cross-party, that are made up of government, Oireachtas members and opposition, that the rationale for the closure is entirely flawed, and that the decision is going to have far-reaching adverse consequences for a very vulnerable group of people. And that's not just the current residents; it's a cohort of people who require respite and long-stay placement in East Cork. So we have what I would say morally absurd situation at the moment of East Cork having its allocation of 24-hour staffed residential placements reduced from 20 to 3. So if you lived in North Cork at the moment and you had a severe and enduring mental health difficulty that required residential placement, you would have access to Solas Nua in Mallow, Cush Alla in Kanturk, or Carrigabrick in Fermoy, and that adds up to 42 placements, single room en suite. But if you're from East Cork, your options will be long-stay wards in St. Stephen's or St. Finbarr's Hospital, or a high-support hostel in the city, dislocated from your community. So my decision to leave the Green Party on the back of that, I suppose I've just come up with so many closed doors. We've always had an open door from the media. We've had an open door from the Oireachtas committees, I think, because everybody really can see that this service closure is wrong. And I've had particularly strong support from Nessa Horgan of the Green Party, but that unfortunately hasn't been the case when trying to appeal to ministers for intervention. And I do very much credit the Green Party for having really important achievements in government. I think they're working in a really adversarial environment, and it's very hard to imagine when you're outside of government the pressure that the parliamentary party are under. But I think there's been a theme running through this government of just not listening to people who are suffering injustice, be they tenants facing homelessness due to the eviction ban, healthcare workers with long COVID who are just left in limbo for the last 2 years with regard to their financial security, and a whole cohort of people that have been excluded from redress from the mother and baby scheme. And I think the Ona Cara residents and families also fall into that category. I think those residents and families have really been cruelly ignored by government and by the HSE.
You mentioned Nessa Horgan. Her suspension from the Green Party, did that play a role in your decision in any way?
Well, I think it really made me consider the fact that, in my view, Nessa is of a calibre that she, is without doubt a very strong contender to be leader of the party. And I think she shows really admirable leadership on issues like, the CETA agreement that the government were trying to push through, and on the rights of people facing homelessness. And I think she showed incredible hard work and diligence with no political rewards on this particular issue. And for her now, as somebody who I think should be leading the party really, to be so, definitively sidelined for 15 months, to be taken out of her invaluable committee work, that definitely, I think, crystallised my inclination.
And while you've outlined, some of the reasons why, was it still a tough decision to leave the party? Yeah,
absolutely. I have very mixed feelings about it. I've met great people in the party over the years. I think it's made up of a membership that have very strong values, people who are very principled, and people who are really working towards a better society and working towards environmental justice. And it's been an absolute privilege to work alongside people of such calibre as Alan O'Connor in Carricktool, and the Cork City Greens as well in particular. They're the people in the party I probably have gotten to know most, along with Nessa Horrigan, and I do aim to maintain those relationships.
How long have you been a member of the Green Party?
Since 2018.
Okay.
And I must say it's not going to change my position on policies. Like actually this week in the council, both myself and Alan were supporting each other in a discussion on the width of footpaths that became quite contentious. So the fact that I'm not in the party, I'm still going to be pursuing the same policies and the same ideas.
And when you reflect on the Greens in government, do you think it was the right decision for them to go in to a coalition, bearing in mind that they are the smallest party and may not have had the clout of the other two, Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, but when you reflect, you still think it was the right decision?
Well, at the time when this was being debated, I very much took the position that they shouldn't go in. I felt there was going to be too much of a compromise of core values. I do appreciate, since I took that position, that they have achieved a significant amount in government, and I think it would have been very hard for the party not to go in, given the fact that the Green agenda was very much emphasising the urgency of climate action, the very narrow window of time that we had to act on that. So I think they were in a very, very difficult position. But during the Programme for Government talks, Nessa Horrigan had tried very hard, particularly on housing, to get a different model of housing, and she was, she didn't win that argument with the other two parties, unfortunately, but she argued that homelessness would be made worse by what had been agreed. And on that basis, she argued that we shouldn't go in at the time. And I think she has been proven right in that. And homelessness is now the key social issue of our time. And I think one of the main concerns I would have is that there's many people who are getting alienated, I think, from the Green agenda because they're not seeing their basic needs being looked after. So if you're facing eviction, if you've got kids with, special needs and you're having to change schools, or you don't know where you're going to be living in 6 months, you can't engage with environmental issues.
It's very difficult, and only time will tell if the electorate will be kind or not to the Green Party. Will you run next year then as an independent in the local elections? Is that your plan at the moment?
Yes. Yes, that's my plan.
All right, and just one final while we have you on, just on a different topic, Liam. What was your reaction to the EPA inspectors who found that the Youghal water treatment plant didn't have suitable alarms installed? Is that a concern for local people? I mean, that plant serves more than 8,000 people.
That's right. It's very concerning. So the report findings were published there in the last week, and they found, as you said, suitable alarms which would alert authorities to deteriorating water quality were not in place. And any drop in water quality is a really serious matter because, there can be major health risks attached to that. They also found a significant build-up of sludge in the storage area of the plant, where settled water channels were stained, and crucially there was no shutdown mechanism in place for filtered water turbidity, so that could enter the water supply and cause problems. There's been an ongoing issue actually with too much iron in the supply of water there, and there's also been 4 instances in 2018 of excessive herbicide. And while they didn't find breaches of those in particular this time around, they are concerned that the monitoring systems are not necessarily up to scratch. So the EPA have issued 10 recommendations now, which include replacing monitors and installing alarms. And I've called on Irish Water to really set out very clearly how they're going to implement those recommendations as a matter of urgency and give peace of mind to the 8,000 people affected. Okay. I think it's important to say that Irish Water haven't issued a boiled water notice, and they extend over the water quality as things stand, but they really need to get these systems in place.
Yeah, people just need to know the peace of mind when they turn on the tap that everything is going to be okay, and if it's not, there will be an alert issued. Liam, listen, we leave it there. Thank you for that, and thanks for joining us on the programme, and good luck in the future.
Much,
thanks for joining us. That is now Independent Councillor for East Cork, Liam Quaid. Now, the West Cork mother of a teenager who